Aging begins in silence, not in the lines on your skin or the stiffness in your joints, but in the invisible landscapes of your cells, in the quiet fading of signals, the subtle erosion of information that once kept your biology sharp, clear, and young. The brain, more than any other organ, feels this erosion first, not because it is weak, but because it is the command center of everything you are. Your memories, your identity, your creativity, your capacity to imagine the future. And somewhere deep inside it, the clock of aging ticks, softly, steadily, relentlessly. But here is the truth the world is only beginning to understand. The brain does not simply age because time passes. It ages because systems fall out of alignment, and alignment can be restored. Your neurons do not lose power because you grow old. They lose power because the machinery that protects them is neglected. Because the molecular guardians, the sirtuins, the repair enzymes, the mitochondrial networks that fuel every spark of thought become overwhelmed by the choices you make every day. Aging is not a one-way decline. It is a negotiation between damage and repair, between stress and adaptation, between the environment you give your body and the intelligence your body has carried for millions of years. Every moment of your life, your brain is rewriting itself. Synapses strengthen or vanish. Neurons fire in new patterns. Memories shift, expand, or fade. The mind is plastic, not in metaphor, but in biology. And the remarkable discovery is that this plasticity does not disappear with age. It is merely waiting for signals, waiting for challenge, waiting for you. If the body has a survival instinct, the brain has a purpose instinct, the deep biological drive to stay alive, stay alert, stay relevant. When you stop challenging it, stop exposing it to novelty, stop giving it reasons to adapt, the brain interprets that as a signal of withdrawal. It begins to downshift. Circuits quiet. Cognitive resilience weakens. But when you introduce friction, not destructive stress, but controlled stress, the brain awakens. This is the principle of hormesis, the idea that a small dose of stress is not harmful but healing. Heat that raises your pulse. Cold that steals your breath. Fasting that forces your body to burn cleaner fuel. Movement that pushes your limits. These stressors activate the longevity switches encoded in your DNA, especially the sirtuins, the guardians of genomic stability. When you challenge your biology, you remind it that life is worth fighting for. Inside your neurons, mitochondria, the ancient powerhouses that came from bacterial ancestors, sense this challenge. They multiply, strengthen, divide. They produce not just energy, but signals, messages that tell your cells to repair, recycle, upgrade. A brain with strong mitochondrial networks is sharper, faster, clearer. A brain with weak networks is fogged, fatigued, aging long before its time. And this strengthening begins with choice. The choice to move. The choice to eat with intention. The choice to sleep when your biology demands repair instead of indulging in the artificial light that confuses your circadian rhythm. The choice to give your mind difficult tasks, not because you must, but because your brain grows when you ask more from it. Your brain is not a passive organ waiting for decline. It is a dynamic, electrical, biochemical miracle designed to regenerate. It is protected by sirtuins, fueled by NAD, sculpted by experience, and sharpened by adversity. But these systems depend on you. They depend on how you live, how you move, how you breathe, how you respond to the world around you. In every moment, your brain is either aging faster or aging slower. There is no middle ground. Every night of broken sleep is a missed chance for your glymphatic system, the brain's cleaning flood, to wash away the metabolic debris that clouds your thoughts and accelerates degeneration. Every day spent indoors under dim screens and artificial lighting dulls your circadian clock, weakening the very rhythms that keep your neurons synchronized. Every meal loaded with excess sugar, every hour without movement, every day without challenge adds a subtle weight to the brain. Not enough to notice in a moment, but enough to notice over a decade. And yet, the opposite is also true. One night of deep sleep can restore clarity. 1 hour of exercise can switch on genes that protect memory. One short fast can repair broken cellular components and renew metabolic flexibility. One intense burst of cold or heat can activate survival pathways that keep the brain young. One choice, repeated, can shift the trajectory of your biological age. The brain is listening to everything you do, and it responds with precision. Feed it the right conditions, and it does not merely resist aging, it rewrites its timeline. Every thought you have rewires your brain. Every belief reshapes neural pathways, and every emotion etches itself into the fabric of your biology. The brain was never meant to be a static organ, locked in its patterns. It was designed for evolution, not the grand evolutionary arc measured over millennia, but the personal evolution that happens within you, day by day, choice by choice, moment by moment. The greatest misconception of aging is that the brain slows because time takes something from it. But in truth, time is neutral. What accelerates decline is disconnection from rhythm, from challenge, from movement, from the natural cycles your biology once depended on. The modern world gives us comfort, but comfort has a hidden cost. It keeps the brain understimulated, underchallenged, undersignaled. When the environment becomes too easy, the brain reads it as a sign that survival no longer requires adaptation. And adaptation is the essence of youth. Somewhere deep in your cells, the aging clock, what Dr. Sinclair describes as the information loss theory of aging, begins to misfire. Epigenetic marks drift. The instructions that once told your cells how to function cleanly become distorted. Not erased, but scrambled, like a scratch CD still containing the original music but unable to play it clearly. And yet this distortion is not permanent. Lifestyle can restore order. Choices can realign the code. The epigenome can be reminded of what youth looked like, how youth behaved, how youth repaired itself. This is why the brain responds so powerfully to deliberate stress. It forces the epigenome to pay attention. It demands recalibration. It activates pathways that had grown quiet in the presence of comfort. A cold shower isn't just discomfort. It is molecular instruction. Intense exercise isn't simply exertion. It is genetic activation. Intermittent fasting isn't deprivation. It is metabolic reset. These behaviors reactivate sirtuins, especially SIRT1 and SIRT3, which protect neurons, stabilize DNA, and preserve mitochondrial function. The brain is a high-energy organ, consuming nearly 20% of your body's fuel. For it to stay sharp, it must operate on clean metabolic processes. When glucose is constantly available, the brain becomes dependent on it, sluggish during dips, and inflamed during excess. But when fasting shifts your fuel source, when ketones become available, something extraordinary happens. Neurons become more resilient. BDNF brain-derived neurotrophic factor increases, strengthening synaptic growth and improving plasticity. Your brain becomes more adaptable, more focused, more capable of forming resilient networks. This internal resilience mirrors the external resilience you build in your life. Stress, when uncontrolled, harms the brain. But stress that arrives in waves, not floods, stress you choose, not stress that transforms you. It becomes training. It becomes signal. It becomes the sculptor that shapes a stronger mind. Hormetic stress expands your capacity. It sharpens your identity. It teaches your biology that survival is not passive, it is active. And through this adaptation, something else awakens, mental clarity. That feeling of being fully awake, fully present, deeply aware of your surroundings and your thoughts. Clarity is not an accident. It is a biological state aligned with evolutionary design. Humans were meant to experience periods of hunger, bursts of physical effort, exposure to changing temperatures, cycles of sunlight and darkness. These rhythms kept the brain alert. They kept neural circuits young. They synchronized hormonal signals with environmental cues. The modern world has stripped away these cycles, leaving the brain drifting in artificial rhythms. But the moment you begin to restore them, biology reacts with precision. Morning sunlight strikes your eyes, telling your suprachiasmatic nucleus, the master clock, to reset. Cortisol rises in a healthy surge, waking you. Melatonin gets scheduled for the night ahead. The rhythmic dance of day and night begins to orchestrate your cellular repair once more. Light is not just illumination, it is instruction. It tells your brain what time it is, how to allocate energy, when to repair, when to focus, when to rest. Without this rhythm, your neurons operate in confusion. With it, they operate with elegance. Sleep, then, becomes not a passive state, but a biological mission. During deep sleep, the glymphatic system opens like a river, flushing away toxins such as beta amyloid that accumulate during wakefulness. This cleansing is essential for memory, clarity, and long-term neurological health. But sleep is fragile in a world filled with blue light, noise, late meals, and dopamine-driven screens. Restoring sleep is not a luxury, it is the foundation of cognitive longevity. And yet, even sleep is only one piece of a larger truth. The brain thrives when the body is aligned with nature. Movement anchors this alignment. Exercise is a genetic switch activating AMPK, PGC1 alpha, and sirtuins that promote mitochondrial growth and stress resilience. Strength training increases BDNF and improves executive function. Cardio increases blood flow and oxygen delivery. High-intensity intervals mimic ancient bursts of survival activity that kept our ancestors sharp. Every step you take, every muscle you engage, every heartbeat elevated through effort becomes a message written in the language of evolution, a message that says, stay young, stay strong, stay alive. The brain listens to movement in a way no other organ does. Each time your heart rate rises, blood vessels dilate, delivering oxygen-rich flow to regions that have grown quiet from disuse. Neurons awaken. Dormant circuits engage. Old pathways that faltered under stagnation begin to fire with renewed strength. The hippocampus, the seat of memory and spatial navigation, responds especially powerfully. In fact, it is one of the few regions of the adult brain capable of growing new neurons. Exercise is its signal, its nutrient, its call to regenerate. What many interpret as clearing the mind during physical activity is, in truth, the biological symphony of neurogenesis unfolding in real time. But there is an even deeper layer to this rejuvenation, a layer not just of biology, but of identity. When you move your body, you reclaim authorship over your life. You remind your brain that you are not drifting through time, you are steering it. You are not aging passively, you are shaping how you age. This sense of agency, this internal declaration of self-direction, has measurable effects on the brain. It sharpens prefrontal circuits associated with discipline, emotional control, and long-term planning. When you choose effort over ease, your brain records that choice as evidence of who you are becoming. Yet the most powerful agent of cognitive renewal does not require motion at all. It requires stillness, deep, intentional, consistent stillness. The modern mind lives in a storm of stimuli. Notifications, information, constant comparison, dopamine-laced distractions. These create a state of chronic, low-grade chaos that fragments attention and frays neural stability. Stillness reverses that. Whether through meditation, breathwork, or quiet reflection, intentional stillness activates the parasympathetic system and lowers inflammation. It strengthens the anterior cingulate cortex, which regulates focus. It deepens gray matter in areas tied to emotional balance. The brain becomes less reactive, more resilient, and more capable of sustaining long-term goals. This internal calm is not about emptiness. It's about coherence. When the mind stops scattering energy in 1,000 directions, it channels that energy into growth. The prefrontal cortex begins to lead again. The amygdala's alarm signals soften. The body leaves survival mode and re-enters maintenance mode, the state in which cellular repair becomes efficient. In this way, mental discipline becomes biological regeneration. But perhaps the most profound force for sustaining youth in the brain is purpose. Not vague motivation, not fleeting excitement, but deep purpose, a reason to wake up, a direction to move toward, a commitment to something larger than your immediate comfort. Purpose changes the architecture of the brain. It increases dopamine not as a spike of pleasure, but as a sustained baseline of drive. It strengthens reward pathways that allow you to pursue long-term decisions over short-term impulses. It reduces chronic inflammation, improves immune function, and is correlated with lower risk of dementia. When you live as though your life matters, your biology responds accordingly. Purpose does not have to be grand. It does not have to be public. It simply has to be real. It may be the desire to protect your family, to create something meaningful, to heal your past, to expand your potential, to serve others, or to understand yourself more deeply. The brain is built to thrive when it sees a future worth moving toward. Without that future, pathways begin to collapse from underuse. With it, they strengthen like muscle through repetition. And purpose is intimately connected to connection, to the people you allow into your life, the relationships you nourish, the communities you belong to. Loneliness is not just emotional pain, it is biological danger. Chronic loneliness increases inflammation, accelerates cognitive decline, and weakens neural networks responsible for memory and decision-making. Human beings evolved in tribes. Isolation signals threat to the ancient circuits of the brain, but connection signals safety, meaning, continuity. It regulates oxytocin, strengthens emotional regions of the brain, and protects against degenerative processes. This is why conversations, shared laughter, deep friendships, collaboration, even brief acts of kindness can have measurable effects on cognition. The brain is a social organ. It becomes sharper when it interacts, duller when it withdraws. The people around you shape your thoughts, your habits, your beliefs, and eventually your biology. To protect your brain, you must also protect your environment. And all of these forces, movement, stillness, purpose, connection converge with one final element, nutrition. Not as fad, not as trend, but as molecular instruction. Every bite of food carries signals that turn genes on or off, that strengthen or weaken neural pathways, that inflame or calm the brain. Omega-3 seconds support neuronal membranes. Polyphenols activate longevity pathways. Antioxidants neutralize free radicals. High-fiber foods stabilize blood sugar. Chronically high sugar inflames microglia, the brain's immune cells, making them hyperactive and destructive. What you eat becomes the raw material of your thoughts. But nutrition alone is not enough without timing. Late-night eating disrupts circadian rhythms, impairs sleep, and increases neuroinflammation. Aligning meals with daylight hours stabilizes metabolic hormones that directly influence cognitive clarity. This alignment echoes nature's original rhythm, the rhythm the brain evolved within, the rhythm it still depends on to stay young. And piece by piece, your brain begins to shift. It begins to remember what youth felt like, not as an era, but as a state of cellular coherence, a state defined not by age, but by alignment, adaptation, and purpose. As the mind becomes quieter, a different kind of intelligence rises, the intelligence of awareness. You begin to notice the texture of your thoughts, the rhythm of your emotions, the subtle signals your body has been sending for years. You begin to see how often your mind reacts out of habit, not intention. And as awareness sharpens, the brain rewires. Neuroplasticity accelerates. Circuits that once defaulted to fear, distraction, or overreaction slowly shift toward clarity, patience, and control. This inner realignment is not abstract. It is physical architecture changing inside your skull. But the brain's ability to stay young depends not only on what you remove, distraction, stress, chaos, but on what you add. Novelty, learning, challenge. The brain is an organ built for adaptation, and it weakens when life becomes repetitive. Every new skill, every new experience, every new language, every new pattern of thinking forces neurons to stretch, extend, and form new synapses. These connections act like scaffolding, holding the brain up against the weight of aging. Studies consistently show that people who learn continually, even small things, retain sharper cognition, stronger memory, and a slower rate of decline. Learning is one of the few habits where consistency matters more than intensity. A few minutes a day of deep engagement can shape the brain as powerfully as hours of shallow consumption. What matters is the demand placed upon neurons, the signal that says more growth is required. That signal is enough to activate BDNF, the molecule that acts like fertilizer for the brain, encouraging new connections and protecting existing ones. But as much as growth protects the brain, so does energy. Not physical energy, cellular energy. Every thought you have, every memory you retrieve, every emotion you feel is powered by mitochondria, the microscopic engines inside your neurons. These engines decline with age, not because they are fragile, but because they respond to your life. When you live in constant comfort, mitochondria weaken. When you challenge the body, they multiply. This is where hormesis becomes vital, the concept that the right amount of stress does not damage you but strengthens you. Cold exposure, heat exposure, intermittent fasting, high-intensity movement. Each of these places controlled pressure on the body, awakening ancient survival pathways that repair cells, activate sirtuins, boost NAD+, and enhance mitochondrial efficiency. These same pathways preserve cognition, stabilize mood, and slow neural degeneration. Real resilience is not built by avoiding difficulty. It is built by meeting small challenges repeatedly until the brain adapts into strength. Hormesis is the biological truth behind the psychological truth. Comfort ages you, challenge preserves you. Fasting, in particular, is a powerful lever for brain health. When food is temporarily removed, the body activates a deep cleaning process called autophagy. Damaged proteins are broken down. Misfolded structures linked to Alzheimer's and neurodegenerative disease are cleared out. Insulin sensitivity improves. Inflammation falls. Blood flow stabilizes. Neurotrophic factors increase. You are not starving the brain. You are sharpening it. The world often celebrates constant fuel, constant eating, constant stimulation. But the brain thrives in cycles of feast and rest, activity and stillness, challenge and recovery. It is the rhythm of biology, the rhythm longevity is built on. Yet even these biological interventions cannot reach their full power without sleep, the most essential, underrated, and uncompromising pillar of brain youth. Sleep is not rest. It is repair. During deep sleep, the brain activates the glymphatic system, a cleansing pathway that flushes out toxins accumulated during the day. Amyloid, tau proteins, metabolic waste, all are cleared during slow-wave sleep. During REM, the brain consolidates memories, regulates emotion, and restores neurotransmitter balance. To shorten sleep is to age the brain deliberately. To honor sleep is to reverse damage quietly, night after night. But sleep depends on rhythm. Light exposure at the right time anchors this rhythm. Morning light strengthens the circadian clock. Evening darkness protects melatonin. Blue light at night disrupts both and accelerates cognitive fatigue. When light aligns with biology, the brain recalibrates. Hormones stabilize. Neurotransmitters synchronize. The body remembers how to heal. And in this symphony of science, fasting, hormesis, sleep, light, movement, learning, stillness, there remains one final truth. The brain stays young when you live in harmony with your future, not your past. Your identity, the story you tell yourself, is the most powerful longevity molecule you possess. If you believe your best days are behind you, the brain slows. If you believe you are unfinished, still capable, still growing, the brain adapts to match that belief. Purpose sharpens pathways. Hope strengthens synapses. Determination boosts resilience. Your biology follows your direction. A young brain is not one untouched by time. It is one continually signaling, continually adapting, continually reaching. It is a brain that still sees the horizon,